Hello, everybody. I am on a flight and I'm about to land in Kabul International Airport. I'm here for about 3 weeks, trying to figure out how this country has transformed over the many years and how it's transformed with the new government, and to really explore and see the people and culture of the most dangerous country in the world.
Super Cola. This is a really good idea. They should have this in every city. Getting our shelvers made. Exchanging some money. Ziyafat restaurant. The rich part of Kabul. Huh. So this is our hotel in Kabul. It is a beautiful hotel. Fully protected and secure. And it has a nice garden in the center. And that's really nice at about $70 a night. Гражданка СССР. Yeah. This is the British cemetery in Kabul, and everybody that, fortunately, foreigners who lost their lives here, many of them were buried here because they couldn't be flown back or because they chose to be buried here. Have a Chinese. This tranquil and serene compound, also known as the Sherpur Cantonment, or Christian cemetery to some, is another solemn reminder of Afghanistan's often dark history. It's here where some of the British soldiers who died during the first two Anglo-Afghan wars are buried, as well as other foreigners of various nationalities who required a Christian burial. Canadians, Soviets, Americans, Europeans, along with a variety of other nationalities are buried here. So, Buddhism begins its start in Afghanistan through the conquests of Chandragupta against Seleucus Nicator, one of Alexander the Great's generals in the 3rd century BCE. When the throne passes from Chandragupta to his son Ashoka, he expands his empire throughout the subcontinent and is quite successful. During his conquest of the Kalinga Empire, which makes up parts of eastern India and modern Bangladesh, he fights a brutal war against the inhabitants of the region and has a moment where he regrets the death and destruction that he causes. It's all written in the Edict of Ashoka at Kandahar, where it is written that he killed over 150,000 people. It's difficult to know the real numbers, but following this brutal war, he renews his vows to Dharma and goes on a path of ahimsa, non-violence. Buddhism flourishes in the region, and eventually the Kushan Empire takes over. The Kushans take the religion of the subjects they conquer and build many Buddhist stupas around Central Asia, modern Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. In this stupa, the walls show a facade of Corinthian columns, which hold up a hemisphere to which religious Buddhists would perform prayer through circumambulation, a religious ritual where they'd walk around the structure.
Doesn't have one complete survival. Pizza.
So, Afghan food is a bit of an interesting mix of,
London.
I guess, South Asia and Central Asia. It has its, it has its Central Asia influence, obviously, through plov or palau. Kabuli palau is something that people generally love here. But it also has its South Asian influence, which they call Mughal food, from the Mughal Empire. You can get murg makhni, karai chicken, your usual staples.
Very nice.
So birds are some of the most common animals that are kept as pets in Afghanistan. I don't really know why, but that's just how it is. But this is the bird market of Kabul, where people who want to buy birds, they typically buy it from here. As far as I know, there's not much quite like it in the world. I've traveled through much of the Middle East, and I haven't really seen much like it.
They even have bunnies here. Oh, so cute. Hey, look, hope.
So one thing that, you find as a foreigner, especially a person who's obviously a foreigner in Afghanistan, is that you do find that people are generally very friendly. Another thing, probably because they don't have many tourists here, is that people tend to tell you
the real price of things. It's not like in India, for example, where everyone's just trying to rip you off. So it is refreshing to know that.
3, 2, 1. You say, what song is that?
The houses are still privately owned.
It's a video. Yeah, you can sing.
I don't know how to sing. I don't know how to sing. I used to do a trade, but I don't know what it was. 60,000-pound ankle load.
We're just starting the Kabul walk on the city walls, the old city walls. So Becher. We're on a wall walk in Kabul. This is sort of new Kabul. Most of the houses are not authorized to be here. And this is the skyline.
So these kids that are following us and that can do this really strenuous hike for most people very easily actually live on the mountainside in these houses, which are actually unauthorized to be here. They basically got here because they came from outside of Kabul into the city during the 90s and 2000s, and they built their homes here. And their homes overlook this wonderful skyline. It really is quite beautiful and breathtaking, and you really get to see the whole city of Kabul from this view. But besides seeing the whole skyline of Kabul, this line, the wall that we're on, separated the city into its warring Mujahideen factions in the early 90s after President Najibullah resigned in 1992. You'd have various factions on one side with another on the other side, and they'd be lobbing rockets at each other, destroying much of the city and doing a lot of damage to the local civilian population.
The two sides of Kabul. That's Babur's garden. Huh? Babur's garden right there. Oh. Yeah. We are now walking through Boggy Babur, otherwise known as the Garden of Babur. And in case you're unfamiliar, well, if you're from the Indian subcontinent, you probably know who he is. He is the founder of the Mughal Empire. And although he wasn't born here, he was born in the Fergana Valley. This is where he got started. And this was one of the first places he took over and made his capital in Kabul. And he built this in the 1500s. And for roughly 500 years, this has been standing. Obviously, modern renovations and all.
So, hailing from the valleys of Fergana, Babur, an heir of Timur, would concur that all lands conquered by his grandfather were rightfully his. After being expelled from the Fergana Valley at the age of 21, he would go on to lead his army and conquer much of Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent, making a name for himself in the process. Along with much of the architecture that would later arrive in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, like the Taj Mahal, the Badshahi Mosque, and Humayun's tomb, Babur Gardens is probably one of the earliest examples of Mughal architecture. And you can sort of see what would become in Humayun's tomb or in Badshahi Mosque from this architecture here. And basically in the garden it houses a small mosque that you can see right there, and it also houses obviously Babur's tomb, which is right here, and some of his family members are buried around it.
The founder of the Mughal Empire. Yeah.
Argawan. 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 Yeah, Argawan. Yeah. But this also like this.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, up here at the back there's a big one, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Spicy sauce to put into there. Then there's some walnuts and dates and bananas.
Over here we are leaving Kabul, and we are on our way to Ghazni, a city that doesn't really see much tourism for a country that doesn't receive much tourism. So it's fairly niche within something that's already niche. But in my next video I'll be in Ghazni, and I'll be showing you around a place that is really, really fascinating. It's quite funny because for one of the most dangerous countries in the world, with a terrible record of human rights, terrible record for rights of women and minorities, this is easily one of the most tranquil and serene drives I've ever been on.